We've helped people with cancer. We help people with all kinds of issues, man. And it feels really good to know that my customers are coming back in here and they're thanking me. Josebi's an immigrant that migrated from Honduras to the United States. Lost about 30 pounds. I'm no longer on my high blood pressure medication. My fungus is completely gone. My mental focus is really focused on what I'm supposed to be doing and focusing on my business. I wouldn't be able to grow it to this status if my brain was still acting the way it used to act, you know? I'm a Chicano, raised right here in Carson, California, in Los Angeles County, just like any other regular guy in this area, you know? So my grandmas, they were all curanderas, parteras, hueseras. But these are medicinal, these are very powerful herbs. These are the kind of herbs you gotta boil in order to extract the medicines out of these plants in order for you to start your healing. We are 100% indigenous herbal remedies company. I focus on indigenous herbs, the herbs that our indigenous ancient people have been using for thousands of years. They focus on XYZ by going to the doctor. You gotta focus on ABC.
What's poppin'? It's your boy Moses, aka Nomo. Chilling inside Aslan Herb Shop in the city of Torrance.
Yeah.
Typically we're in the Lit Out studio, but today we're in the city of Torrance. Here with Mr.
Jose Torres, I go by Indigenous Herbalist, man.
Indigenous Herbalist. Thank you for letting us come into your beautiful shop and interview you today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure for having you here, man. Your platform's amazing, man. I like what you guys are doing out there. And just being part of it, awakening up our people, you know, raising our people, trying to get everybody back into what we should be doing. You know, I'm the medicine man, you can say that.
I like that, dude.
Right?
You know, the big reason why I wanted to have you on the show and interview you is because, you know, a lot of us have, as Mexican or Hispanic people, we usually don't have the best diets and are also afraid of going to the doctor, which I think is like a crazy combination to have, right?
Yeah.
Say you didn't want to go to the doctor, but you eat super healthy, then it's not that bad,
Sure.
right? Or you have a doctor in your family and you eat kind of bad, someone's always there to help you out.
Yeah.
But I feel like the herbal remedies has been part of our culture for a long time, and to see a young person like yourself, you know, take it by the horns and make it this far, I think is an incredible story. But I want to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Where are you from and where'd you grow up?
I'm originally born in Gardena,
Okay.
but I was only there for a year as a little kid. But I grew up in the city of Carson, California.
Okay.
Out in the harbor area. That's where we're at now. I have my store here in Torrance, right here in the harbor area.
Yeah.
I got to start in my own community, man. I got to be able to reach my people. And, you know, we've been doing this for a little while now. The journey's been long, I can tell you that much. Things like this don't happen overnight. Especially when it comes down to herbs and things like that, you don't just start taking this herb and start taking that herb. There's a lot of knowledge that you have to learn as far as what's good for the body, what's good for that, what can you mix with this, what can't you mix with this. Some people take certain medications that they can't take certain things, and so on and so forth. So we did our due diligence. I'm trying to make sure everything's right the way it should be, so that way we're helping people and not messing them up even more, right?
Tell me something as far as like, is herbal remedies something that you grew up with, like in your family, maybe a grandmother, maybe a mother? Is that something that was in your home at all times?
Yeah, man. So my mom's really big into the herbs. You see her yard, man, right here in Carson. She has a big garden. She has a lot of medicinal plants from different parts of different areas. Don't know how she collected them over the years, but my mom's always been like that. Ever since I was little, we would get sick from our stomach. She would be like, make us a tea de hierbabuena, you know, some epazote or something to settle our gut. Most of the time when we were sick, my mom was making some type of tea for us. But that stems back all the way down from my grandmas. My mom's mom, my mom's grandma, my mom's great-grandma, and so on and so forth. All the women on my side of the family were all from Michoacan, Mexico. We're from the Purepecha Nation. So my grandmas, they were all curanderas, parteras, hueseras. They were the ones in the rancho of Michoacan, helping a bunch of different people from different towns. My grandma was a partera to where she would help the women give birth like a midwife. Never lost a woman, never lost a kid.
Wow.
She was big time into the herbs, and she was probably one of the best herbalists, at least in those ranchos around there. Who knew? I was a technician. Who knew I was going to be an herbalist, man? I believe it's already in my DNA. God has a path for everybody, and I think God put me down my own path. I had to start healing myself and to be able to heal people. You cannot be a healer if you never healed yourself. So for me, I had a lot of major issues. What you see in front of you right now is not the same person that was here 20 years ago. I completely changed my life, the way I eat, the way I think, the people that I revolve myself around with, and I get deep into the herbs. I did a bunch of different supplements over the years. I spent thousands of dollars on supplements. I would try to heal and try to find myself my own solution. I could never find the solution until I went back to the natural plants. Once I went back to the natural plants, that's when my healing really started, man.
You know what? I think a lot of people, they kind of think of herbal remedies as like people like witch doctors, and they look down on this kind of side of the healing world, right? And a lot of people want to go you're across the street from the UCLA medical
Right across the
hospital,
street.
right? Which is crazy to me. But they see a white lab coat, and they kind of want to treat certain things I would say not the holistic way, but the pharmaceutical way, right?
Yeah.
What do you think the stigma is against like holistic wellness and healing?
I think a lot of people think it's going to happen overnight. That's something that you're going to just take like an aspirin and then your pain's going to be gone in 20 minutes. I think you need a little bit more discipline than that, because it's not only necessarily the herbs. I think people always look at it as como brujeria.
Yeah.
My grandma, they would call her bruja, right? I'm sure my great grandma was the same thing. I've had customers come in here and say, I heard there's a brujo over here. Said it jokingly. That's like, yeah, I'm the one, right?
Right.
That don't bother me. What that means is you have something a little different than the rest of the people, right?
Right.
And over generations, there were special people throughout our generations, and our ancestors, our abuelos, our grandmothers. A lot of them were also healers. That information would get passed down over generation from generation. To me personally, I got really deep into the whole Indigenous, all that, and then the Catholic Church coming down, and the Spaniards and all the conquista. What is it called? The conquest.
Yeah.
I forgot how you said in Spanish. The conquest. What happens is that system would make the healers look like they were brujos, right? And it sort of turned the corner on all that stuff. I think it has something to do with natural nature. I don't think there's no brujeria here. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ himself. He's the one that led me down this path to be able to find my own healing journey, to be able to find the medicine to awaken our brothers and sisters. So I think it's all interconnected. I think it's just a stigma of people looking at it as brujeria back then. Now, maybe the older folks might, like your grandma or my grandma, or the older folks might still consider it like that a little bit. But the majority of people now, your generation, my generation, and our generation, man, we're looking to grow. We're looking to expand. At one point, I would tell somebody, hey, why don't you take this tea, man? It's good for diabetes. Or why don't you take this tea? It's good for liver. You know what they would tell me? I don't like teas. But they think of it as a nice little pretty tea that you can sit there and sip with your pinky up. It's not one of those. These are medicinal. These are very powerful herbs. These are the kind of herbs you got to boil in order to extract the medicines out of these plants in order for you to start your healing. A lot of these herbs are bitter. They're bitter for a reason. God don't make no mistakes. Something you shouldn't be taking for a long time, especially when it's bitter. If it's nice and sweet, people are going to sit there and overindulge in it. But when it's bitter, that's the purpose of it. So we don't overindulge, because you can also get hurt. That's why you need people like myself, my staff, to be able to guide you to say, hey, what's good for this and what's good for that? So we're not over-recommending stuff to people. I never like to over-recommend, because the whole goal is to start healing people. It's called a healing journey for a reason. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over time, all right? So for most people, clean out the gut. That's going to be step one. And, we can get to all that stuff. But the stigma as far as, how that looks here in the modern world, I guess I'm a modern-day herbalist, right? I'm not a curandero. I'm not a brujo. But I guess you could say I'm a modern version of one, because it's already in my DNA. I think it's part of what I'm supposed to be doing for people.
I love what you're doing with the place and the aesthetic. I love how you carry yourself, very professional, very modern. I think a lot of times some of the medicinal herbal places, I forget what they're called, but they sell like
botanicas.
The botanicas. They look very like ancient. They look kind of scary, kind of dusty. You have a beautiful shop right here.
Thank you.
It almost looks like we're inside like a doctor's office.
Yes.
Why did you choose to go that route?
Because there's an old school generation herbalist that they're slowly dying off. And I think there's a big gap missing between the old school herbalists to the herbalists that are now. And there's very few herbalists now. That would be a place like a Botanicas. You always see a lot of older folks in there. People over their 60s and so on and so forth. They're great, a lot of knowledge. They know what they're doing. But like you said, it looks a little danky, a little dusty. I had to spruce it up a little bit because I wanted to look this way, because I wanted to look modern. I wanted to be inviting. I want people to come in here and have a fresh look, and people see that everything's super clean, because that's the purpose. I mean, for me, you're putting something in your body, it better be clean. It better be free of toxins. It better be free of chemicals, pesticides, insecticides, and a bunch of junk that people are putting into their stuff. That's why I went to do this, because I couldn't find nothing that was all natural, all organic. It was always some type of supplement. It was always some type of over-the-counter medication or some type of vitamin that had fillers and a bunch of junk in it. Like all our stuff here is 100% plants. I don't deal with no junk whatsoever, man.
I feel like a lot of over-the-counter stuff, or maybe stuff that you find at Walmart or Costco, it's the yellow and green bottle. I think Nature Made,
Yes.
or something like that. What's the difference between those kind of companies and what's in there, and what's in your stuff?
We are a 100% indigenous herbal remedies company. I focus on indigenous herbs, the herbs that our indigenous ancient people have been using for thousands of years. A lot of the stuff that you see on these other supplements, a lot of the stuff's watered down because they add fillers, and they're not working with the same traditional herbs that our people are working with. I focus on the West Coast. All the stuff that I have here, I don't have a lot of Chinese herbs, great herbs, by the way. Ayurveda medicine, great Indian herbs, and African medicine, great African herbs. But here, this is the herbs of our people. That's why I think there's a big difference on what those people are doing. I think they're more about profit at that point. They're big corporations, and they got to make a profit. Here, we're a small company. We're going to keep it traditional. We're going to keep everything made by us. We're not going to get it manufactured by a secondary spot because we are the manufacturer. You have to understand, we're not only the herbalists, we actually manufacture the stuff in our own warehouse. So I know what goes in it. I'm a very picky person on what I want to put into my body, and I want to treat my products the same way because I want to give everybody the same respect.
How did you come across the supply? How do you get your stuff? Where do you get it from? Obviously I trust you, you seem like a straightforward guy, but how do we know this is 100% source from where you say it is?
Well, these herbs, rarely you're going to find them outside of Mexico. All right, I would say 90% of the herbs I have in here, they're strictly coming from Mexico. It took me years to build these relationships with a lot of people that are harvesters in Mexico, but you can't just go straight to the harvester. You got to work with specific companies that have different resources because these herbs come from different parts of Mexico. They're not centralized to just one state. So this company that resources, they make sure it's ethically resourced, it's not damaging the environment. And a lot of the stuff that you guys are supporting us is actually going back to the ranchos, all right? So if we buy it, we purchase it, that rolls downhill, right? Next thing you know, even the people from the ranchos are living in a better community. They're able to afford to do a bunch of different things. And at the same time, we're helping ourselves.
So you're saying this is a 100% ethical cycle?
Ethical cycle, absolutely, man. I am a big believer in making sure that they're not jacking up the environment, man. Our indigenous people for years never ruined the environment. We didn't create trash. We didn't create no junk. We lived in an alkaline environment. Now we have a bunch of trash. We live in an acid environment. Our food sucks. The food system's vale madre. The medical system's making us act or have a bunch of different issues. Unless you have some type of major issue, that's where you got to go. I tell people they focus on XYZ by going to the doctor. You got to focus on ABC to start preventing that for yourself. Don't ever put your health in the hands of another person. That's why for me, I never wanted to do that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to figure it out for myself. Once I did that, I figured it out for my friends and family, and God took care of the rest, and here we are.
Damn, that's beautiful. I like that. Was there ever a moment in time, maybe growing up, that you needed herbal remedies to help you?
Oh yeah, bro.
In a time of need?
Absolutely, brother. So what you see right now is not what you seen, 20, 15 years ago. Right across the street is the Harbor UCLA Medical Center right here in Torrance. I'm a meningitis survivor. I survived meningitis. I had this bacterial infection in my blood, and over time it started affecting me. I started having a bunch of spots all over my skin. They rushed me to the hospital, kind of find out they started doing a bunch of studies on me and my family. Where did it come from? Back in 1978, the medical system was testing out these vaccines. In 24 states here in the US, about 18,000 youngsters, mainly youngsters, ended up having meningitis and meningitis outbreak. From 1978 all the way to 1982, there was about 18,000 cases. The majority of them passed away. There was other youngsters, I was 3 years old. There was other youngsters in the room with me that also got meningitis, and they had us all isolated from everybody else. The majority of them passed away. I got a few scars, lingering here, a few scars on my legs. I have about 30% of my kneecap on my left knee. I have about 40% on my kneecap here. I've had skin grafts from here to here when I was a little youngster. I had to learn how to walk all over again. Whatever got into me, they weren't able to determine what it was. But for me, I think they were, testing a few things out, and I was one of the lucky ones. Thank God I was able to survive. Thank God I didn't grow up feeling handicapped or nothing like that. My sense of smell got affected, so your sense of smell might not be the same thing as me. I might have 10% of your sense of smell. because that type of meningitis affects the neural part of your body and your sensories. Some of them end up amputated. They had told my mom, if he comes out of this, he's gonna have some type of mental issue. I have a screw loose, but not that bad. You know what I mean? But that's normal. That's what allowed me to do this.
Yeah.
But I was able to, get through all that stuff. Thank God my mom was a very strong woman. She was there, taking care of me. My mom knew about the herbs. Maybe back then she was also giving me stuff, behind the scenes over here. And one thing led to another. I grew up right here in Carson with my brothers. I have four brothers I grew up with. All great guys. We all have our own health issues. You know what I mean? And they're improving their health as time goes on because of what we're doing here. I was about 30 pounds heavier at one point. I was on high blood pressure medication for about 9 years. I was pre-diabetic. My gut was way out here. I had a lot of fungus on my hands, fungus here around my ears, my belly, my feet, my legs, and over time it was causing a lot of health issues for me. Mental fog. I wouldn't concentrate. I would have a lot of anger issues. I just wasn't feeling myself at all. I think I started getting sick early on because of the whole meningitis. I partied it up with all my friends here growing up in Carson with my brothers, drinking beer, having a good time as a young man, eating whatever the heck I wanted, eating the standard American diet every single day. And that thing started catching up to me. I started having high blood pressure. I would go down and tie my shoe. I would feel my face pounding. I would get up from this chair. I would feel like I had to sit down because of the dizziness. Really, really dizzy. Went to go check myself out. They did the EKG. They did the whole works on me. Oh, you have high blood pressure, take this medication. You're pre-diabetic. If you don't take care of it in a couple of months, we're going to give you diabetic medication. I had high cholesterol. My cholesterol was at 400 at one point. It's right back down to normal after I did what I had to do. Being sick and going down this whole healing journey, I was really confused. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have no one to run to. Dude, I wish I had somebody like myself back then that I was able to go to answer questions that I had, because I didn't have any trust in the medical system. That's just me. Nowadays, it's even worse. But back then, I think I seen things coming. For whatever reason, maybe God put me down this path to heal myself. Once I started learning more about the herbs, my mom would say, hey, take this and take that. I started getting really deep into the books, reading a lot of books, doing a lot of research. While my buddies were out partying it up and doing a bunch of things, I was busy in the books trying to find my own issue, my own solution. Sure enough, it took me a couple of years to really button it down. I would get better, I would go back down. I would get better, I would go back down. The reason why is because I never really changed my diet. Never really made that connection back then that the diet was really the one that was messing me up. Next thing you know, I said, you know what, let me do the diet thing. I would always get better and going around this revolving door. I said, let me get serious for 6 freaking months, man. I said, you know what, this was maybe about 15 years ago. I started learning about the herbs and started taking the herbs and started changing my diet, cut out all the sugar. I let all the soda go, the dairy, the processed food. I let all that junk go. I was starving myself to death. Why? Because I didn't know what I can really take, because I was doing a bunch of research. I would walk into the market. I would feel like there's nothing there for me to buy because I'm trying to make myself better. A lot of processed stuff, right? So I learned how to deal with it and adapt it, and I started really digging deep into the gut. That was my main issue, was my gut. Like I said, I had a lot of eczema. I had leaky gut. So all that fungus that I had here was showing up on my skin. So once it got on my skin, like a red alarm went off in me. I said, you know what? There's no way I can go around shaking people's hands and I got to hide my hands all the time. Maybe the rest of my body, I'm covering it up with clothes, but my hands, around my ears, I had a lot of fungus here. So I had to do something about it. Number one was cut out the sugar, changing up the diet. I created my own herbal detox, like the one I recommended to you. That herbal detox was my first formula that I've ever created. I started getting into fermenting food. I started taking water kefir, which is a drink that's really, really good for the intestinal bacteria in the gut. And over time, my gut started healing little by little, little by little. I invented my herbal detox. I started detoxing myself. I was the guinea pig in the very beginning, bro. I started testing it, as weeks went on and weeks went on, my skin started clearing up. My gut started feeling better. I started losing weight. I felt way better in the mind. The gut and brain connection was the number one thing that I felt, was with the brain and gut connection. I felt eased in the brain. I felt like I can focus more. That allowed me to read more and develop things more. And to be honest with you, when I first developed this company, I was microdosing. psilocybin, mushrooms, right? I started learning about all that stuff, spirituality, what's good for this and what's good for that. What herbs did our ancestors use? What kind of food were they eating? You know, yeah, they also ate meat. They also ate chicken and wild turkey and wild bird. They weren't eating pork because pork didn't exist back then, but it was wild stuff, still natural things that weren't out in nature. Nowadays, the meat that we eat, you know, the eggs that we eat, the chicken that we eat, they're pumped of antibiotics and a bunch of junk. You most likely already know this stuff. And I wanted to go down as natural as possible. I couldn't be 100%. It was very difficult being 100%, so I made up my mind. I'm going to be 80% good and 20% do whatever the heck I want to do. I want to go enjoy a ceviche and drink a beer with my brother and my family members, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. But guess what? 80% of the time, I'm going to be right back at it. Why? Because that's the only way you're going to be able to heal. If you're doing 80-20, 20-80, the opposite, you're only stinking yourself little by little, right? And I didn't want to, you know, put my health in the hands of my family, my kids when I got older. I seen myself already maybe being in my 60s. I was going to be all beat up. And I said, I cannot go down that path. Like I said, God has a plan for everybody. And once I started really healing myself and getting back into the herbs, one thing led to another. Before you know it, I was also helping my friends and family. I lost about 30 pounds. I'm no longer on my high blood pressure medication. My fungus is completely gone. My mental focus is really focused on what I'm supposed to be doing and focusing on my business. I wouldn't be able to grow it to this status if my brain was still acting the way it used to act, you know?
Was it hard to get support from your friends and family at first?
Not at all. I hear that a lot from a lot of people. I hear that your family hates on you, and I hear that your friends hate on you, and I hear a bunch of stuff of all these entrepreneurs saying, you know, just don't worry about what people tell you. I've never had that in my life.
Nice.
I had a lot of support because people were healing, people were feeling better. People were cheering me on. They're like, dude, this guy's doing something different. Let's cheer him on. So I never really had anybody really hating on me, and if they did, I wouldn't deal with them. You know what I mean? Before, maybe I would have minded when my mind was toxic, but now,
it seems like you got rid of the toxins physically, through your body, through your gut and all sorts of stuff. But you also seem like you're not really a toxic person in general. You're very positive.
Yeah.
You give off a really good vibe. I'm sure you get along with a lot of people. Has it always been that way for you?
Yes, I've always been I used to be a field technician, so I had a lot of really good customer service. I dealt with a lot of people in their own homes, so I know how to talk to people. But I think me personally, I think God gave me a gift of being able to talk to somebody, being able to read them, and knowing something's wrong with that person. And I'll start picking away at them. What's wrong? And what's this? And next thing you know, they'll tell me their whole life story. How about you start taking this? And how about you start taking that? How about you start taking this? Before you know it, I got them on their own healing journey. I've always been pretty easy. You know, me and my brother always have a good attitude. My other brothers as well. But me and my brother Jesse seem to always make crack jokes and mess around and just be a regular person, man. I don't want to come off as a doctor. I don't want to come off as a scientist. I know all that stuff, man. I read books for tons and tons of stuff. And if I want to do that, I'm not going to be myself, man. You know, I'm a guy, I'm a Chicano, raised right here in Carson, California, in Los Angeles County, just like any other regular guy in this area, you know? Nothing different for me than just knowing a little bit about herbs and knowing about the body, and here we are doing this, man.
You know, earlier today, I got the chance for you and your beautiful wife and yourself gave me the opportunity to get a body scan, which is very scientific, very high tech, super impressed. But why is it important for you to mix high science, high grade science with ancient herbs?
Now you nailed it right on the money, man. So I'm a technician. I'm a 30-year veteran as a technician, field technician. I used to work for Verizon, for Frontier, for Dish Network, for DirecTV. I was a low voltage contractor. I had my own license. So technology is right down my alley, bro. So when I started learning about the body, I always wanted an instrument to be able to see into the body. I wish I could have my own MRI, to be honest with you. And I wish I knew how to decipher that information because it'll make it a lot better. But this is the closest thing to it. This is a body scanner. It's made by Scan, a company called Menla Tech. I give them a lot of credit. They developed this system. They use this type of technology in the medical industry, but this company put it all in one kiosk. It's very effective. I'm able to know more about the science of things. I'm able to know more about the medical terms. And I had to catch up a little bit on that area. I ain't gonna lie. But over the years, I've been able to catch up and now mix the new school technology with the old school traditional herbal remedies. it's a perfect fit for me, bro.
Yeah, you gave me the consultation after your wife hooked me up to the machine.
Yeah.
And you were going over certain things, certain levels, up and down, lymphatic system, my brain, my gut. And it gave me, I mean, I was completely impressed with all the pictures. Anybody out there, make sure you guys come get the scan. It's 100% worth it. Is it important to make things like that and your herbs easily accessible to the public?
It is, man. I think there's a whole alternative method of doing things. They call this alternative medicine. This is the original medicine. The rest of the stuff out there, that's alternative medicine. So yeah, technology, of course, is modern. You want to use instruments to be able to read into people. But like I said, I ain't got nothing against the medical system. If I get injured, I get hurt, they saved my butt when I was 3 years old. So I think if we were to marry both, technology with old school stuff, I think it'll be a beautiful world, to be honest with you. I think we'll get a lot more done for the people. You can't go technology and pharmaceutical or chemical and expect for that to work.
Yeah.
It only makes sense, bro.
Like I said earlier, you did a scan on me. I got some of the stuff you recommended. Why don't you go over the plan you gave me?
Sure. So for you, I noticed you have maybe a little sluggish gut, if you don't mind me saying that.
Nope, I don't.
So your gut's a little slower than it should. Do the herbal detox, very effective for detoxifying your gut. Most people can do this for 60 days. You take, the guys that say take 4 capsules, 2 in the morning, 2 at night. It takes about 7 days for it to kick in. Never gonna make you run to the bathroom. It's never gonna cramp you up. And it's gonna help detoxify toxins from the body. So our intestines, they have intestinal plaque. Some people have inflammation. Some people have heavy amounts of heavy metals. And this is really gentle on the gut. Not gonna irritate your bowels. It's not gonna cause more problems than what you already have.
I think a lot of people, instead of taking something like this, they end up getting like some sort of laxative, and they expect to run to the toilet and throw everything out the wrong end, right?
Yeah.
Why is it important for you not to give people a laxative instead of this?
Well, Cáscara Sagrada is in it, and it's known as a laxative, but it's not a laxative for say. 75% of the laxatives here in the U.S. have some form of Cáscara Sagrada, all right? But Cáscara Sagrada is also really good for a function that we have inside our intestines. It's called peristaltis, or peristaltic function. Think of a snake eating a mouse. What pushes the mouse down the body? That muscle function. Same thing inside the intestines. If that muscle function is weak, we become chronically constipated. Cáscara Sagrada is one of the only herbs to help that function start moving that stuff out of your body. So when you detoxify, don't eat heavy, because your gut's trying to push things out of you. You gotta let this push the stuff that's already in you. Most people are walking around with 15, 20 pounds of crap inside our gut anyways.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely excited to take this. Let's talk a little bit about the sugar control.
Sugar control, very effective for those people that want to help their pancreas, liver, and gallbladder. People that have high insulin sugar levels, like diabetics, pre-diabetics, which I was one. This is very good for the pancreas. Not only diabetics can take this, anybody can take this as a preventative measure. You can do this as a maintenance. You could do it 2 to 3 times a year as a maintenance, but if you're like full-blown high insulin resistance, high sugar levels, you're not able to get your stuff under control, this is a natural version of doing it. I recommend you detox your gut and you do the sugar control, and you'll see your levels sort of level off.
I think if I were to walk into a regular botanica right now, an old school herbal shop, a lot of the herbal owners, store owners, they keep the original names. These, to be honest, these weird names that they're not common names.
Yeah.
We got a little bit scared about the names. Why was it important for you to name it sugar control?
FDA. The FDA, I'm not gonna put their diabetic pills. That's their word. Those medical terms, they're patent.
They own them.
They own them. You can't play with them. You can't talk about them. You can't do any of that stuff. This is the stuff that I've learned over the years. I don't want people to come and shut me down. Sugar control. What does it mean when you're diabetic? Your sugar's high. Let's control it.
Yeah, it's
Herbal detox. I'm not going to put, IBS pills or gastritis pills. I'm going to do herbal detox to detox the whole body, to detox the organs. I'm an organ person and I'm an herb person. That's all I am.
I like this. You've definitely done your research.
Yes, sir.
Palo Azul here.
Palo Azul, known as kidney wood. Very, very powerful bark. Some parts of Mexico call it palo dulce. You have to understand that in different regions of Mexico, the herbs have different names. Palo Azul, different parts of Michoacan and certain other areas. Palo dulce and other parts. And you go to Peru, they might call it something different, right?
Right.
But here in the U.S., they call it kidney wood. Very effective for detoxifying the kidneys, pushing a lot of toxins out of your body. People that have high acidic or high acid in the body, you want to make your body more alkaline, drink palo azul bark, be a tea, or just like como agua de uso. You can do a concentrated cup, or you can drink it as a diluted water, right?
Okay.
Palo azul is very effective for those people, like I said, have high insulin resistance. You want to control the sugar a little bit, that's also really good. Number one thing is going to help reduce inflammation in the body. A lot of people use it to flush out the lymphatic system, keep your urinary system intact and not inflamed. If you get a lot of heartburn, it's a really good idea to start taking palo azul. It's going to settle down all that burning. It's a cooling herb. It cools the body, all right?
Okay. And then the next one we got is the stress, and these are actually not your.
They're not ours. These are actual.
Why do you trust this Trace X?
I've been taking trace minerals for about close to 9 years or so. I started with the original magnesium drops. Those are it helped me quite a bit. They have a really good probiotic that we also have available. Their magnesium's off the chart, man. I started with them with their magnesiums, right? Because it was helping me, helping my friends and family, and a bunch of customers. So I stuck with them. So these guys, they're from Utah. There's a dry salt lake out in Utah. They drill down, get some ancient seawater from down there, and then they process it, they filter things out, and they make different products out of it. So it's also a natural version of it.
Oh, okay.
All right, so it's not like it's a random supplement or something like that. They're here for a reason. There's the only other company that I have inside our store because of that reason.
I noticed that, and that says a lot. Why did you recommend the Stress X for me?
For you, man, your stress levels are high. You have moderate stress. Your cortisol levels are high. The chemistry of your body is off a little bit. Your adrenaline's high. Your adrenal glands that sit on top of the kidneys, they're working overtime right now. Anybody that's been stressed, you know what that causes, right? Heart palpitations, the rhythm of your heart, the pressure of your heart, gut imbalances, mental focus is messed up. Could even cause you disruption of sleep, insomnia, dealing with those type of issues. Stress X also has minerals, enzymes, and herbs. Really good for multiple issues, but mainly for the nervous system to settle things down. Imagine having your vehicle. You're driving around all over the town with your car. Instead of your RPM being at 2,000 RPM, you're always at 3,000 RPM. What do you think is going to happen to your car after a while?
Blow out the engine.
The same thing with our adrenal glands, the same thing with our body. So it's necessary to keep your stress levels down. When they say stress kills, they ain't playing around. It literally kills you.
That's crazy.
Right?
Let's talk about the magnesium glycinate.
Magnesium, just magnesium in general, there are about 7 different types of magnesium, and they help different parts of the body and different functions of the body. This is magnesium glycinate, good for the heart, good for mood, restful sleep, and it helps calm down the cardiovascular system. If you're a person that struggles to sleep because of your stress levels, the Stress X and the magnesium glycinate is going to do you well for what your need is. Somebody else, they might have gut issues or kidney issues. I might give them magnesium citrate. Somebody else might have concentration issues. I might give them magnesium taurinate. Somebody might have really bad sleeping issues like insomnia. There's magnesium malate, magnesium chloride. There's a bunch of different types of magnesium. It just depends on what I need for the person. For you, it was the magnesium glycinate.
Now, these things, are they specific to me because I'm a male at my age, or are these in general healthy for all ages and all male and female?
The herbs don't know if you're male or female, but there are specific blends. They don't discriminate. You can be any other gender and they won't discriminate you, right? I ain't got nothing against that, man. I'm old school.
Yeah.
But there are herbs specifically for women and men, all right? It might do more good for a woman to take something that's going to help their ovaries. You don't have ovaries, you don't have a uterus, you don't menstruate every month. So we have a specific blend called Ovarios for them. Another herb called Vida Femenina. For the men, we have a tea called Masculino, testosterone levels. We have a tea called Prostata, which is good for your prostate and your bladder. That's what most men are going to struggle with something. It's going to be something down in that area. Maybe, erectile dysfunction. It could be diabetes. Person could have high blood pressure. Those common issues, anybody can take these herbs. But there are some herbs specifically for men and women. But the majority of them, anybody can take them in theory. I'm sure if I take the Ovarios tea, nothing's going to happen to me,
Okay.
My ovaries might be better, right?
You know, like I said earlier, your store is beautiful, man. You have
Thank
a
you.
great eye for aesthetic. I love the Aztec, art in here. The new school look with the refrigerator. You have like a little lab back there, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Where did this all start? Where did you start the company?
It didn't look like this. I started in my garage, man. A
Okay.
house in Carson we were renting. Dude, I had like a one-car garage, very narrow garage. It was a bedroom. It had flooring, it had a garage, it had the walls, everything. And you would see the garage door covered with drywall. It was just like that when I first started renting it. I used it as a theater room. I was all into the technology, so I had a theater room in there. And one thing led to another for me trying to go down my healing journey, and I wanted to get serious about it. I started ordering a few herbs, a capsule maker, very tiny, small one, 25 capsules. And every time you would make capsules, got different blends, and I started working in my garage because I had no other room, right? So once I started figuring things out, I'm very handy. So I turned my garage into a laboratory with tables and filter systems for the air, so everything's clean in there. And kind of find out, I ended up working in a laboratory, a real laboratory in the future, right? So I like that aspect of things, keeping everything super clean. You know, that was my number one rule. I got to keep everything super clean because I'm going to be eating them. My own family's going to be eating them. Everybody and their mama's going to be eating them, right? But it was just a little laboratory, a little small area, man. From there, I started getting into social media, started making some videos. I was probably like one of the first ones talking about CMOS, talking about detoxing, and people started following me little by little. You know, just had a small growing, and I said, you know what? I was entrepreneur. I know how to build websites here and there, and I built my own website. Started putting my products on there, not knowing anything about FDA, not knowing anything about rules and what I should be saying, what I shouldn't be saying, right? Just trying to grow a business and trying to grow this whole knowledge of the herbs, right? I knew a little bit about the indigenous stuff, but after I started really growing is when I started learning more about all that stuff. This was many years ago. And one thing led to another. I'll put stuff on the website, out through social media, a little order will pop up. Boop. Oh man, I got an order, man.
Nice.
Take care of it, pack it up really nicely, ship it out. Super proud of it, right? Boop, and boop, and boop. Little orders here and there, right? I told my wife, man, I think we got something with this stuff, man. You know, little by little, people are starting to wake up to this stuff. It was pre-COVID, years before COVID. And I told my wife, you know what? I'm starting to get a little busier. I think I want you to jump on board with me. She was a supervisor for UCLA as a billing supervisor. So she had a really good job. I was the lineman for Verizon. I had a really good job. It wasn't the need for money. It was the need to do something about our health, right? And then slowly but surely, more orders started coming in, and I told her, you know what, you gotta let your job go eventually. But a little bit after that is where I told her, you know what, I want to go to the Santa Fe Springs Swami. There's a lot of raza over there, a lot of Chicanos. I said,
yeah.
I love that Swami. I thought it was a big deal to get into a Swami. I was like, man, how can I even do this? I went and got my DBA. I set up my LLC. I went and got my permits. It took a while, man. I felt like this big. It was really this big, right? It just felt challenging to me. Still making the herbs and all that. I said, you know what? Finally got everything. I don't know how I convinced the health department in the city of Santa Fe Springs. I just ended up talking to them super cool. What do you have? Prepackaged herbs. I want to sell them at the Swami, this and this and that. Okay. They looked at my website. Oh, I want to order some stuff, right? So they ended up giving me my permit. So I thought I was like, oh man, we're ready to roll. I ended up going to the Swami, paid for my little space. And Instagram helped me out quite a bit. I started promoting on Instagram, paying them, $100 over the weekend or something like that. And customers wouldn't come to like 2 weeks later. The next week would come, I'm like, I didn't have that many customers, man. Am I wasting my money here? I just kept to it and kept to it and kept to it. COVID hit. People said, hey, I don't know what to do. What's good for this? And what can I take for this? By then, I might have had like 30 to 40 products. So I had a nice large array of products, and I could do a lot with those herbs. And then one thing led to another. People started getting sick. So as COVID hits, I'm developing. So I'm my own formulator. I formulate my own herbs. I make my own blends. And I started getting deeper and deeper and researching and growing another product. Researching, getting another product. People would say, hey, what's good for this and what's good for that? Next thing you know, I would develop something. It would help. It would work. People were getting excited. I was getting excited. So I started growing into swami. I think we're probably the busiest puesto in the Santa Fe Springs swami.
Wow.
For a good 3 or 4 months. People are looking at it like, what the heck are these guys selling over there, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the whole social media, making videos. I look at those videos now, they look remedial. I'm like, damn, I guess it wasn't that big, right? Looks all like old school, right?
Right.
And sure enough, one thing led to another. I told my wife, you know what? I don't want my customers or our customers to always having to come to the swami. You know, they got to pay to come in. You know, it's only Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you know what? Let's go look for a space near the house. So we're not running around like we would have to pop up our tent, take it down. Pop up our tent, take it down. We're hustling hard. Being there at 7 in the morning, staying there till about 7 o'clock at night by the time we broke everything down. I mean, we're busting our butt for this, right? And I told her, let's go get a space. Met a gentleman. He came and gave me this, you know, showed me around, showed me a few other spaces. And during the COVID time, the rents were cheaper because there weren't a lot of people renting spaces. So I approached him. I said, hey, you know, can we negotiate this? Sure enough, we negotiated it. I have this number that follows me around, man. It's either 1111 or 111. I got the space and signed the lease, didn't realize anything. My space number is 111. All right, right across the street from the hospital where I was sick at. So if you don't tell me that there's a God, oh, trust me, there's a God. He's looking out for everything that we all do. And I think he's been the one that's been laying the foundation for me, little by little, little by little. I was here. I thought I was going to come in here, just pop up a few walls, and I'm able to sell because I got the permit over in Santa Fe Springs Swami. The health department said, no, you don't. It's not that easy. So now I had to get into deeper stuff, knowing this and knowing that. And I'm very researchy. So I started doing a bunch of research and, okay, what do I need to do to get this freaking health permit? Well, you need a clean room. So I said, all right, find me an architect. Can you design me this? This is the way I want it. I want this here. I want a consultation room. My register here. Da 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 da. Yeah, sure enough. $10,000 for the blueprints. And I'm like, 10 grand? Like, that's all my money. I've been saving and trying to get the space. I'm paying a lot of money here every month. I'm still not able to sell. So I said, all right. So I started selling Friday, Saturday, Sunday, low key. Where, you know, just a few customers would come in, keep the door non-suspicious. Our windows were frosted, you know, low key. Never got busted by not having this health permit, right? But I was already doing everything right. And I said, all right, I saved enough money. Thanks to everybody supporting us. Thanks to every single one of them that bought every piece of product from us and having the trust in us, because without everybody, we wouldn't be where we're at right now. And I'm grateful for all that stuff. That's why I keep my prices cheap. I always try my hardest to educate people and teach people because I feel like I owe it to the community, all right? We were here for a little while. I ended up getting enough money to start the construction. I ended up saving about $100,000, man. That $100,000, it paid for the blueprints. It paid for the contractor. Like, God has a plan, I'm telling you. And one thing after another, people were supporting us even more. And then we ended up moving out of here to Unit 105 right here. We were there for about a year. Construction was takes financial challenges, permit challenges, construction challenges, and a whole bunch of stuff. The road seemed long to me, but I said, let's stick to it. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Sure enough, after like 2 or 3 years of being on this property, here we are, health department, got my room, everything that I had a checklist, everything that was on that checklist, I went one by one, bam, 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 eventually to be able to open up our own herb store without any credit, without any financial help. It's strictly on all the herbs that we sold and all the products, and it's strictly from everybody that supported us. Not one time did I ever get a loan. Thank God I'm able to do that because now we're flowing a little smoother. I'm looking to open up maybe in the next 6 months, maybe another spot or two, but it's not as easy as just opening up a spot to sell herbs. You need the herbalist who's going to run the shop, who's going to educate the people. I have a really strong team, my wife and my family members. They're getting stronger and stronger and stronger as the months go on. And now they're here running the store. Eventually free me up to go open up another spot. We're about to develop a really good training program inside our warehouse and to be able to educate people, possibly have classes for people that want to learn about herbs and want to learn about natural stuff, possibly have some classes for people. Maybe I'll find some really good herbalists out of that bunch and be able to, you know, grow this. It's not a matter of I want to open a franchise and have put this place everywhere, but it's easier said than done. Wow. You know, that's my 5-year plan, 10-year plan. Right now, I'm happy to get the first store open, Possibly in a couple of months, we can run 2 more stores and then see what the future holds, man. I leave it into God's hands. I control what I can control, and let God take care of the rest.
Man, that's an amazing story, dude.
Thank you.
You know, and I could tell it comes from like a good place, you know.
Absolutely, bro.
From a legit place. But I did notice that you have like your daughter here, your
Yes.
wife. How important is it to involve your family in the business?
It's a family business. My Aslan over Remedies is 80% women. So it's ran by women. Every day, the day in, day out stuff, the women run it. I'm just the big mouth that knows about herbs. I want to educate people and awaken my gente, you know? And I let them take care of the rest. So they're coming along nicely. They're learning a lot. They've improved their health. And not only are they learning about herbs, they're also getting healthy. And they're becoming very strong. So my team's starting to become very, very strong as far as knowing what we got to do. Thanks to God, thanks to what we do, and thanks to all the questions that come in from everybody.
You did mention a little bit about Instagram helping you out in the beginning.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's he's part of his dad's roofing company. His dad's old school. Now he's taking it over.
Yes.
He asked me for a few tips and advice as far as how to run the social media, how to get more business, basically.
Yes.
Can you give us some insight on what worked for you as far as starting a small business and turning it into something like this?
Just educate people. Be truthful. Be honest. Be transparent. That's why I do all this, because we want to be as transparent as possible. Social media can only take you so far. It's your word that takes you farther. You know, anybody can have a product, but do you know how to teach people about your product? Are you going above and beyond doing what other people ain't doing? You know, there's other herbalists out in the world, and we need more herbalists. How about that, right? But I don't follow anybody else's lead. I follow what my heart tells me to do. I get inspired really easily. So for somebody that wants to get their business on social media, you have to be consistent. Consistency and put out a good product. Have your own separate niche. You know, don't copy what other people are doing. Just do things differently. Marketing is a big deal. If you know how to work with social media, you have a good marketing person. If you ever need help, I got the person. Someone that you can trust, because at one point I was wearing a bunch of hats. You got to learn how to let those things go and put it in other people's hands and know how to trust those people. You don't want to try to micromanage everything. I used to be like that before, but now that's how my team has become stronger, because I allow them to make the mistakes. We allow them to, do what they got to do and have their own mind to be able to do, their part. And the more you micromanage people, I think the more tense things are. So I just let people do what they got to do. Especially being family, it makes it a little easier. So I would recommend that. Just don't wear too many hats, and you got to run the company. Imagine me always cooking at my restaurant. How am I supposed to open a second restaurant if I'm always the employee? For me, you got to be the CEO. You got to be the one making the decisions. You got to have your people bring you all the information so you can make the right decisions. You're sitting on top of the chair for a reason, and your people trust you. Your customers trust you. You're truthful. You're humble, and speak with your heart, and let God guide you. I don't see how you can be successful.
That's awesome, dude. Now you have you have the herbal remedies to fix the toxins or to fix any illnesses. You're eating right, you're eating better, right? That's almost the holy trinity, right? But the last part about health is what people are starting to wake up to also, which is mental health. How do you take care of your mental health now that you have the herbal remedies to fix anything that's broken, you're eating correctly, you're consuming the right things in your body? What about the mental health?
The mental health comes a little bit after. So like I mentioned earlier, when my gut was jacked up, my temple was dirty, my mental focus wasn't there. I wasn't able to manifest my life. Once I started cleaning my temple, you clean this, you clean the mind, there's a gut and brain connection. So if your gut is jacked up, your mental is never going to be right. Doctors always come and they give you something for your brain, but they never do nothing about your gut. Once you do something about your gut, the brain and gut connection work a lot better. Your nervous system settles down, your mental fog goes away, and you're able to focus and manifest your life even better. So if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty, take care of your temple and the mind will follow.
It's beautiful. Is there like a voice in your head? Is there people you do this for that you just, I feel like you're relentless. You don't give up. Is there like a higher meaning, or is there certain people that you think about when you wake up in the morning and you give it your all when you come here?
Yeah. Number one, I thank God. That's going to be my number one. I thank him when I wake up, and I thank him when I go lay down to sleep. He's my number one. Other than that, my inspiration is my father. I lost him for diabetes complications in the year 2000. I lost my brother about 6 years ago from colon cancer. Unfortunately, an infection got him after his surgery, and my brother ended up passing away. That's my motivation. I don't want to lose no more brothers and sisters. I don't want to lose my friends. I want to extend people's life. If I can do something for people, is keeping your grandma around longer, keeping your mom around longer, keeping your dad around longer, because it sort of sucks. It sucks when you lose your family member. And sorry about that. It sucks when you lose your family member, and you could have done something about it. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's real. It's the honest truth.
Sorry. Yeah. Maybe don't cut that part out.
Yeah, cut out whatever you want me to cut out.
It's just because that's very dear to me.
Right.
I do it because of that.
But we can see here with the cameras that it's the truth. It's just really what motivates you. It kind of helps this story is kind of healing you.
Yeah, it is. It has. The herbs healed me. Not only have they healed me, they're healing people around me. They're healing people every single day. The herbs are going to be here once we're off this planet, man. They've been around here longer than us. They're going to be here around way longer once we're gone, man. The herbs don't need us. We need the herbs. So if you start focusing on something like this and you don't bypass God's medicine, I don't see why we shouldn't be able to heal. But we need to do something about our diet. We need to do something about our food. The system that we're in right now is only jacking us up more and more. This ain't the same food of our grandparents. It's not the same stuff that our abuelitos were eating back in the rancho. The stuff is processed. There's a lot of heavy metals in it, a lot of toxin, a lot of dyes, and a bunch of junk food in it. I recommend most people change your diet, detox your body 2 or 3 times a year, stay consistent, and don't let it get to you, man. 80% good, 20% do whatever the hell you want, live happy, but still jump back on the horse when you feel like you're falling off.
I don't want to dig too deep into it to make you uncomfortable.
That's okay. I got over it.
But you're helping people heal their health, right?
Yeah.
People come in here, the herbs are healing you. But it kind of gives me I have the feeling that the community that comes and supports you is healing you as far as like mentally and in your heart.
There is, and I get inspired, I get motivated from hearing people's stories when I, recommend an herb or I recommend do this and do that, and they're coming back and they say, hey man, my problem's gone. That cancer that I had in my lung is no longer there, because that's how deep we get into it. We've helped people with cancer, we help people with all kinds of issues, man. And it feels really good to know that my customers are coming back in here and they're thanking me. They thank me, but I thank the herbs, I thank God on their behalf, man. So for me, it's an inspiration to see how far we've gotten so far. And I feel like we're barely scratching the surface with this, bro. I feel like there's a lot more for Aslan Remedies. I feel like there's a lot more that I gotta do for people. I feel like we're barely starting. If God takes me from this planet, I want this thing to last, so then other people can benefit and let my family run it in the future, so then this stuff still exists for our future generations. I'm all about teaching our young, because our young is the future. So you educate your young, before you know it, all this messed up mentality that we all have, eventually is gonna be gone. All right?
I love that. I love the fire you bring, when you talk to somebody.
Thank you.
I interview a lot of musicians, mostly rappers.
Yeah.
And I always ask them, like, your top 5 rappers growing up, your favorite artists that you listen to. Is there like a top 3 or a Mount Rushmore of Herbalist that you grew up like inspired by, reading books by, watching videos? One that comes off the top of my head is Dr. Sebi, right?
Yes.
Dr. Sebi has an amazing story that he's actually African American, but became Dr. Sebi with Mexican and I guess Latino herbs, right? He went to like Mexico, Guatemala, different places.
Yeah.
Who do you look up to in the herbal game?
My mom. My mom's number one. Above everybody, my mom. She's my main inspiration. Dr. Sebi is another man that I followed for many years. I've been following Dr. Sebi for about 22 years or so.
Wow.
Hardly anybody knew about this gentleman. There's another gentleman here in Carson that a lot of people never heard of. His name is Tim Morrow. Do some research on this gentleman, and you'll see that he's a local herbalist from our neighborhood. Also inspired by Frank Suarez. He's a Puerto Rican gentleman that speaks Spanish. He passed away now as well. And I also done a lot of research from indigenous people that I don't remember their names, and I read their information and all that, but the main ones would be that. And actually, Dr. Sebi he's Latino.
Is he?
Dr. Sebi is Hondureño.
I thought he was African American.
Dr. Sebi is an immigrant that migrated from Honduras to the United States.
Interesting.
He has an African background, He speaks better Spanish than you and me put together. So don't let that fool you, all right? But I definitely respect a lot what Dr. Sebi has done for all the people. He's awakened me. He's awoken a lot of people. He's awoken my African American community as well to be part of these herbs and this whole awakening of our people. Because not only is it the Latinos doing something about it, it's also my African American people also raising themselves to another level so we can all support one another to get out of this freaking system that we're in.
You know, over the years, especially with Dr. Sebi, he's kind of like popularized certain herbs and certain things that people love. Like,
Yeah.
for example, sea moss.
Yeah.
Sea moss, you can find it on all the TikTok shops right now. How do you feel? Do you think that helps the game or hurts the game?
I can say it like this. There's a lot of farm stuff out there. There's people out there just trying to make a quick buck, all right? There's different types of seaweeds in this world. Just the way there is in a lot of different plants, there's a lot of different marine algae. What Dr. Sebi talks about is the Chondrus crispus. It's called Irish moss. That's the one that we sell here. There's a lot of different seaweeds that have benefits. We need to be careful. I've done the research, man. I've been dealing with sea mosses and marine algae for about 7 years. Nobody even knew what the heck a sea moss was, right? This is before it became known. You have to make sure you have a wild-crafted product, no heavy metals, because marine algae is like a sponge. Whatever you put it in, you can put it in a bucket of piss. It's going to absorb piss. You can put it in an ocean that has heavy metals, you're going to absorb that as well, or contaminants. Ours comes directly from Peru, down deep in the boondocks by the Patagonian Sea, getting close to Chile. Really frigid waters. Our harvesters harvest from 20 different areas so they don't damage the environment. And they've been harvesting for about 30 years different types of marine algae. I became friends with them. They're basically my brothers now. And they're the ones that I get my product from. A lot of the other stuff that you talk about, sea moss, this is called Irish moss, Chondrus crispus. Sea moss itself is known as Gracilaria or Eusemia cottoni. That's a warm water species. Comes out of St. Lucia, Jamaica, the Caribbean, the warm water type. Vietnam, Philippines. There's a lot of warm water out there. That's the Eusemia cottoni and Gracilaria. You got to make sure that that stuff is not farmed or even grown in pools. The majority of the stuff that you find on the islands is still original stuff. But the majority of the mosses that they sell a lot in the market, and I'll be the first one to say it, the majority of it is farmed. I've already looked. I contacted all the suppliers. I tried to find the original stuff over all the years, and I cannot find it. I had to go all the way to Peru to go find the freaking thing. That's why I know it's original. So you guys got to be careful putting your money out there on a product that's going to be farmed. I recommend you guys do some research. Make sure they're showing you their source. You can go on my videos, go to my Instagram. You have my Peruvian people out there saying, hey, what's up?
You went to Peru?
No, I found them in Peru.
Okay.
I'm looking to go to Peru maybe next year, if not the following year. They've already been invited multiple times, but the company doesn't allow me to get away for no more than 1 week, man.
Yeah.
If I go out there, I'm going to go out there for 3 weeks to a month, not only to go check out the sea moss, but go talk to some indigenous communities out there, maybe do more of my healing journey with ayahuasca, cambo, and all these other herbs and medicinal plants that help elevate our frequency and our spirit.
That's beautiful.
Not yet, in the future.
Real quick, do you have like a set schedule when you go live on Instagram? I saw you were live earlier today.
Mostly Tuesdays, Saturdays, Sundays. I do it because of the algorithm. That's when you get a lot of more action. I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram under Indigenous Herbalist. I'm also on TikTok under Indigenous Herbalist. The company is under Aztlan Herbal Remedies. You can find that also on Instagram. Facebook. Who uses Facebook too much?
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good platform. I don't use it much, man. I used to.
Right. All right, so we got some products here that I have questions about that I'm sure other people see.
Yeah.
You know, as a former alcoholic that used to drink a lot,
Yeah.
the word agave, you know, is some. I know it's related somehow to tequila, might be the plant or something.
Yes.
You have this bottle here of syrup. It's organic, natural sweetener. Tell me more about the blue agave.
Blue agave nectar is known as aguamiel in Spanish, all right? Aguamiel comes out of the agave tequila, the tequila plant. Mexicana tequilaria is called. That's the original name of the plant. That tequila plant, if you see some parts of Mexico like Jalisco or Zacatecas, they grow a lot of these aloes, right? Or these agaves. They open up the heart of the agave, which is still alive, and this syrup starts coming out of the agave, and they use that as a fermented drink, where they also make this thing called pulque. Not sure if you heard of a fermented drink called pulque.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
That's the drink of the gods, man. That stuff has been existing for thousands of years. Well, when you get that pulque or the aguamiel, they process it, which is not a bad process, and they make the blue agave nectar. Blue agave is known as agave syrup, all right? You don't want to get a bunch of stuff that might be even having fructose in it. You want to keep something original. This is an original one, so this is a sweetener. The good thing about the sweetener, it's like a honey, right? It doesn't your glycemic index, which is your sugar level. It doesn't spike your sugar level like regular sugar cane. It's really good for sweetening your teas and things like that. Diabetics tend to take something like this a little easier on their body.
I think it's important to have here because, like you said, some of the herbs and some of the teas might be a little bit bitter, and this can just kind of help you with that.
Yes, yes, and we also we don't have it here right now, but there's an organic honey that we also carry. You can sweeten your teas that way. I wouldn't go in there and put sugar. People want to put teas with coffee. I don't know what the heck that's about. I get that a lot from customers, man.
I'd also noticed this. This is a sea buckthorn body butter.
Yes.
So not only do you have herbs, not only do you have capsules and syrup, but you also have creams.
Body products.
Pomadas, as my mom calls them.
Pomadas, absolutely, yes. All natural stuff. We use organic oils, organic shea butter, organic sea buckthorn oil. Helps regenerate the skin. Good for eczema, dermatitis, patchy skin, fungus on the skin. You want to use sea buckthorn. We also have a really good magnesium one. This is a magnesium, calming magnesium body butter. Muscle aches, you rub this on the bottom of your feet. You absorb magnesium from the bottom of your feet. Most people don't know, but our biggest pores are on our hands and our feet.
Interesting.
So whatever you put here, you're gonna absorb. Whatever you put on your hands, you absorb. A lot of mechanics out there with a lot of chemicals on their hands, they gotta take it easy. But the calming magnesium body butter, you rub it on the bottom of your feet, and it's going to help you sleep a lot better. You start absorbing tons of natural magnesium, and before you know it, days after days of doing that, your sleep is going to improve. You have sore muscles, muscle ache, stiff neck, you rub it right on that area, and it's going to improve it.
Yeah, but real quick, on this one, do you recommend this for like athletes?
Yeah,
People
athletes,
go to the gym?
people that have sore muscles, people that work out, and their muscles are all sore and beat up, this is really good to absorb magnesium and through the skin.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Another interesting artifact that I found here
Yeah.
is this sage. What is this? And tell me more about this.
This is cedar. Cedar sage. There's blue sage. There's regular white sage. There's Palo Santo. There's various different ones. So our indigenous people, not only do you take the herb or you ingest it, there's also the white sage and these to be able to cleanse your space, cleanse the negative energies. This is the stuff that our indigenous people have been using for a long time. It's already proven by science that white sage reduces the negativity of the negative ions in the room. So if you want to do some cleansing, maybe you have some kind of spiritual darkness in that house or some kind of spiritual something, right? You want to cleanse it. A lot of people use it as protection. So you would use this, with an open heart. You would respect something like this. You would light it up, burn it for a little while, do your cleansing. You turn it off in some type of sand or something like that. You don't just throw it there and now, whatever. Something that you got to respect, something that's been surviving for thousands of years. So there's a lot of belief that this stuff is cleansing us. All right?
What does something like that smell like?
Like pine. This is pine. Smells like burnt herbs. They all have a little different smell. I got people comparing it to marijuana. I don't think it smells like weed. They sage and people walk in here like, man, what's that herb smell? I'm like, we light some sage and stuff like that. We like to go around and bless the herbs in the morning.
Okay.
Remove a lot of the energies that get trapped in here from all the customers that come in here.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure everything's nice and blessed.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now you do have some like top sellers, some things that people are coming in for that are maybe more urgent. Maybe someone like me who has like problems with sugar or some gut issues can be kind of fixed over time. Some people come in here with not that much time left.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for example, cancer.
Yes.
Tell me more about what you have for like that kind of stuff.
Well, people that struggle with cancer, it's okay to take herbs and it's going to help you, but there's a lot of things that they have to do. They have to remove sugar out of the diet. Sugar is like adding fuel to the fire when it comes down to cancer. They have to make their body more alkaline and reduce the acidity in their body. because cancer survives in an acidic environment, all right? So it does not like an alkaline environment. So changing up the diet's a big number one you got to do. Cut out the foods and all the things that have been causing you problems over the years, and take herbs. And first of all, detox your gut with the herbal detox. Do the herbal detox for 60 days. Cleanse your gut. It's also going to cleanse your lymphatic system. Imagine if I try to give you something to kill off cancer, but you're never doing nothing about draining your body out of that junk, right? So the detox capsules are really popular. That's our number one seller. It's called the herbal detox. You can take 3 to 4 capsules a day, change up the diet, and you do that regularly. You do that a couple of times out of the year. Then you have herbs like moronel. You have herbs like soursop. This is soursop. It's called guanabana or graviola. It's a leaf that comes from the soursop plant. This one specifically comes out of Peru. You get 2 leaves. You can make a tea. You drink it mostly in the evening. It's really calming for the body. It's good for insulin issues, good for high blood pressure, and the various other things in the body. But the main purpose of this, the science behind this, they say is like 10,000 times better than chemotherapy.
Wow.
As far as how potent it is to stop the spread of cancer and to kill cancerous cells. So I put a post on social media, on TikTok. It had like 2.8 million views on it. Bro, I had hundreds and hundreds of comments. If I had 500 comments, that's probably less than what I'm actually had. I would say at least 40% of those comments, people would say, that helped my mom. My dad took it, it got rid of his cancer. All these people were going in there and dropping all this stuff about this soursop leaf. So it's already been proven over the years to help people for that issue. But the one people don't know about, and they should really get to know about, is moronel. Moronel, known as planta de la vida. This one strictly comes out of Ensenada, Baja California. Moronel is known for having anti-cancer properties, prostate cancer, bone cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer. It's known for helping a bunch of different cancers. If you're a person that's struggling with really bad cancer and their body is really, really debilitated, or they don't have a lot of strength left in them, give them moronel and it'll wake their body back up, and slowly but surely, detoxing the gut, changing up the diet, taking moronel, it'll help slow down the spread of it, and it brings that person back. I've heard stories from customers that see it in my store, and they say, man, I gave that to my buddy, my neighbor of mine that had 4-stage cancer. The guy doesn't have any more cancer. I said, what else did you give him? He goes, nothing, I only gave him the moronel. So I have a bunch of different stories like that from our customers, and stories that we have of our own customers that we recommended with people with lung cancer, breast cancer, and various other ones, and people are improving. All right, but it also takes on what they're doing at home, what they're eating, and cut out the sugar as much as possible.
And then the insulina herb.
Insulina for diabetics, people that have high insulin levels, their sugar levels skyrockets, right? They're in their 200s, 300s. I recommend whoever wants to try this and their sugars are high, check your glucose level, see where you're at, make your tea, drink about 8 ounces to 12 ounces of it. Maybe 30 minutes later, test yourself again, check your glucose again, and see how many points went down with 1 cup. If it's controlling it to where you need it, you know how much you need to take. So a lot of people that take this, it also helps liver, gallbladder. It's going to help your intestines, and it helps control your insulin levels.
Everything that you package like this in these big bags are all supposed to be made the same way? Like how does someone prepare it into a tea?
Yeah, good question. So most of these herbs you see hanging on the wall there, most of them are going to be simmered. You have to simmer these because you got a lot of barks, you got a husk, you have roots, you have leaves that require heat to extract the beneficial medicine that's inside the plant. If you had like a tea bag, we have those also. You soak them in hot water. Those are really delicate leaves. It releases the medicine really easy. You enjoy your cup of tea. But these have to be simmered the traditional way. The same way your grandparents did it. Get a tablespoon, or even what you can grab with 3 fingers. Do it the old school way. Get a pot, add a bottle of water, about 16 ounces to that pot. Throw a little bit of pinch of these herbs in there, or even 1 tablespoon. You cover your pot. You let it simmer for about, 10 minutes or so. You turn off the heat, you let it steep for about 5 minutes or 10 minutes, strain it, and you can drink it once, 2 or 3 times a day, depends on the need for the person. Mm-hmm. So most of these, they are simmered.
Interesting. Now I do also notice that you have some things out open in the air, some things are bottled, there's some sprays.
Yeah.
But you also have things, for example, like this in the fridge,
Yes.
Why are these in the fridge, and what are these things?
So we have black elderberry syrup that has to stay refrigerated. We make our cold pressed elderberry syrup here in our little facility here, room that we have in the back. 100% organic. We only use natural products and organic products. This elderberry syrup, if you don't keep it in the fridge, it's gonna start fermenting. Se echa a perder. All right. So your best bet is to keep it in the refrigerator, good for 6 months. Our gels, Irish moss gels, Irish moss, bladderwrack, burdock root, we keep them frozen. So when the person takes them home, we instruct them to put it in the refrigerator, thaw it out, and start eating it daily, 2 to 3 tablespoons a day.
What is this for?
Immune boosting. Black elderberry syrup, black elderberry in general, known as sauco, right? Dr. Sebi talks about this. This is one of the ones I got from him, actually. It's really good for immune support. It's good for lungs. It's good for low iron. It's good for boosting your immune system. It helps antioxidants. You get more antioxidants, so it's gonna help your cells in general. Number one thing, it helps cut the flu and the cold. It's antiviral, so if you want to take this before you get sick, while you're sick, it's gonna help you cut it quite a bit. If I'm taking elderberry syrup and you're not, and we both get the flu, I may have it for a few days. You probably have it for like 2 weeks.
Wow.
It's that powerful.
Interesting. So the Irish moss, you're supposed to eat it.
Yes.
How would you recommend to take the Irish moss?
2 to 3 tablespoons, mainly in the morning on an empty stomach, preferably. The taste is decent. Some of them are just bland. Imagine applesauce with no flavor. There's some of them that are sweet. We also have one that has elderberry syrup in it. Elderberry, Irish moss, bladderwrack, and burdock root. It's a powerhouse. It's very powerful. So all you need is 2 tablespoons. Some people put it into a smoothie. Some people put it into their green juice. They put it into their tea. Some people just go straight from the spoon. You can also cook with it. So the more you eat of it, the healthier it is. We don't say take a maximum of 3 tablespoons. Take a minimum of 3 tablespoons so you can feel the effects.
Now you also have you have a lot of high concentrated stuff here, right?
Yes.
Maybe a lot of people, well, the American diet typically is a lot of fruits and vegetables they recommend, right? The American pyramid scheme, whatever that thing is, right?
Yes.
There's carnivore diets. There's
keto, veganism.
Can you walk me through all these different types of diets and what you like and don't like about them? Which ones you recommend?
Yeah. So that's a long road to talk about. So we're gonna narrow this down a little bit. You got keto. People swear by it. There's people that swear by eating only meat. Pescatarians that only eat fish. Vegetarians that only eat veggies. Veganism, that's strictly straight veganism. Alkaline diet. There's various different types of diets. Me, I don't follow no specific diet. I know what works for me and what doesn't work for me. I know if I eat tomato, I'm going to have inflammation later on. I know if I eat serrano peppers, I'm going to have issues later on. If I eat certain foods, I'm going to have gastritis later on. So for most people to really button down and find out what they do, they have to do a process of elimination. So, okay, my stomach hurts this next morning. What the hell did I eat yesterday? Maybe I stop eating that, right? But overall, in general, people can benefit from, doing a little bit of everything. There's always some type of deficiency in every single one of them. Some people say I've done keto, but I was having high cholesterol. I've eaten straight meat, but they start having digestive issues. Veganism, there's a lot of soy products in it. Soy prevents the body from absorbing iron, so they become anemic. They think the vegans are anemic because they're eating plants. It isn't that, because a lot of this stuff is still processed and they're eating a lot of soy, all right? Vegetarians, they have an issue with this or that. Alkaline, then you're gonna be stuck in a little corner with the alkaline and you can't eat outside of that circle. The body's made up of different pHs. The organs are so acidic, the stomach's so acidic, the blood's so acidic, the muscles are doing this, the lymphatic system, they all have different pHs. You cannot be 100% alkaline. If you make your stomach acid too alkaline, bacteria can survive, viruses can survive, and even funguses like the candida. So I would recommend figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, but cut out the regular stuff like the sugar, the processed foods. A lot of these burritos and tacos and all that stuff that they're making out there, guys, I'm sorry to say it, but they're not the healthiest, man. I got nothing against it. I was a taquero in the family, and I might jump on one here and there, right? That's my 20%. But don't go full blown on one certain thing, man. I recommend just find out what works for you. We're Latinos. There was no milk in the ranchos back in the day before cows even existed, right? You take a polar bear out of, like Dr. Sebi said, you put a polar bear, you take him out of the Arctic and you put him in the jungle, the freaking bear's gonna die. Try to stick to the foods and the things that are in your area. That's the same thing I do with the herbs. Not anything about these other herbs and nothing like that, but I try to stick to the stuff that my people have been using for a long time. Look into taking nopal, look into taking things that are more natural, even manteca. People don't even know, but the manteca that our people were using back then, it was helping the body in various different ways. What cholesterol levels back then? What diabetes? What high blood pressure? Why? It's the ingredients of the food that we're eating now that's causing issues. I'm not saying go and eat a bunch of manteca, but our people were doing something different back then that wasn't causing illnesses compared to what we're doing now. Processed oils, processed ingredients, a lot of our additives that they put, a lot of dyes, a lot of junk into the food. Even some foods contain heavy metals that causes all kinds of different issues. So try to do things more natural. There's no specific diet that I recommend. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm an herbalist. And if you're able to tone down that diet a little bit and do what you're supposed to do on this end, I don't see why people wouldn't get better. You know, the body's able to overcome a lot of bad stuff. It's when it gets too concentrated in the body that we start having issues. So little by little, get things out of your body. A lot of people focus on what they're putting in, but nobody's focusing on what they're taking out of the body. That's flushing the lymphatic system, cleaning out the liver, gallbladder, pancreas, intestines. It's more about what you take out than what you're actually putting in. But obviously, you want to make sure the stuff that's going in is not something that's going to hurt you.
They call it a food desert, right?
Yes.
We don't have access like we did back in the day to all the organic and natural animals or plants or just things that we eat in general.
Yeah.
I'm curious to what does your day-to-day diet look like?
Ooh, shoot, man. I wish it was more. I wish it was better. I'm going to keep it honest. I wish it was better. I wish I had access to all these natural foods. I wish I was growing my own. I had my own farm, growing my own foods. Maybe in the future, right? But right now, you got to sort of trust on, you know, the companies that are providing these things for us, including your water, including our foods, and all these type of things. Pick better quality ingredients. Go to your farmers markets and talk to these people and try to get more organic foods, fruits, veggies, those type of things. A lot of the processed foods, you got to cut it out. I'm not saying, like I said, not 100%, but cut out things that they're processing, making. If it doesn't grow on a plant, if it don't grow in the dirt, then most likely it's going to be something that's processed, man. I would say try to stick to the more natural ingredients as possible. Me personally, I don't eat red meat. I don't eat no pork. I'll stick to some chicken, turkey, some fish. Preferably if I can find it wild, like wild salmon, wild fish, wild turkey, some wild hens, which are the codorniz. You can also take some of those. But as far as the regular sugars and cookies and snacks and all that, I don't overindulge in that stuff at all. I literally eat my meal during lunchtime, eat my meal in the evening, and call it a day, bro. I think food's overrated. I think we make more of it than what it really is.
Ooh, interesting.
I tell people, don't eat to get full. Eat to fuel your body. Because think of it as a fuel. What quality fuel do you want to put in your gas tank? You want to put unleaded or you want to put premium? You decide. I say put premium. The more premium you put into your body, the better your body's going to function.
Where do you shop?
Right now, my wife does the shopping. She'll go to Costco, try to find something as natural as possible, those type of places. Maybe we'll go to Whole Foods. We try to stay away from like the aisles. We try to stick to around the border of the store where you get all the produce. Maybe you get a nice cut of, some type of turkey from the butcher area. If you want to eat meat, go for it. I don't do hardly any breads. I don't mess with no dairies. If I'm gonna get something from takeout, it might be some type of Panera, a sandwich with a little soup or something like that. I try not to overindulge, and if I am gonna eat something that maybe I shouldn't be eating, I'm not gonna pack it in. I'm gonna eat half of that. Everybody can still get over it, man. I think we overanalyze too much on the food. It's mainly on the ingredients that we're putting into that food. You go to the local corner where they're selling the burgers, and you look over the counter, and you see the freaking parrilla, freaking smoking. What do you think's happening to the oil? Imagine when they're cooking your food in that oil became toxic. Now you're eating that stuff, right? Try to go, a lot of people are coming out with better quality foods. You might have to pay a little bit extra, but you're gonna get a better quality food. You know, these corner $10 burgers, man, they're $10 for a reason, you know?
Yeah, you mentioned that you eat lunch and then dinner. Do you fast during the morning?
Yes, that's one of the biggest things. I've been intermittent fasting for the past 9 years. I don't eat till about noon, maybe sometimes 1 o'clock. I don't eat past 7 o'clock. So say from noon, it's supposed to be from noon to 8. I don't like to eat heavy because it disrupts my sleep. If you're eating heavy and you're tossing and turning at night, you're waking up at 3 in the morning and you're having all kinds of sleeping issues, consider that the food you're eating late at night is the one that's disrupting your sleep. We should not be digesting in the middle of our sleep. We need to be repairing our body, detoxifying our body, getting our body ready for the next day. There's a 16-hour window that the body needs to be able to detoxify and repair itself. That's why I do the intermittent fasting. 8 hours window with food, that's from noon to 8. I don't go past 7. And then you sleep half the time. You wake up, you skip breakfast. What do I eat in the morning? I drink a medicinal tea. I might have some sea moss. Maybe I'm doing the detox at the time. Might take my ashwagandha. Might take some maca root to give me a little extra burst of energy, build some muscles, maybe start hitting the gym a little bit more. But I don't go crazy with eating the breakfast with the pancakes, the eggs, the bacon, and all that. That's something I wouldn't put in my body first thing in the morning. I see people walking around with energy drinks. That's the first thing in their body. I'm cruising around the neighborhood, around these restaurants. You see people drinking the Starbucks. That's the first thing they want to put in their body. So be it. But I recommend don't put that junk in your body first thing in the morning. Your body detoxifies between 7 and 11 o'clock in the morning. We have no business eating heavy at that time. You shut off your detoxing mechanism and you tell your body, let's start digesting. We'll go ahead and do this tomorrow. And you do it all over again, over and over and over. All you're doing is accumulating. You're accumulating. You never let your body rest. You never let your body deal with the inflammation. Your body never repairs and your body never detoxifies. Once you start doing that, taking herbs and cut it out, give your body a break. If I console everybody's mouth, everybody will be healthy. All right? So intermittent fasting, work your way up to fasting. If you want to do a 3-day, you want to do it once a day. I heard of an old man that lived to his 90s. They asked him and they interviewed him, what is your secret? What is it that you do? What do you eat? He goes, I don't change my diet much. I eat pretty healthy in the week, but I fast every Saturday. It says it in the Bible. He goes, I see, what do you eat? I eat nothing but fruit on Saturday. I don't starve myself. It detoxifies my body. The fruit pushes all the toxins out of my body, and I do that every single week. Every Saturday, I eat nothing but fruit. So if you want to take that route, you can. You want to detoxify or fast once a day? You want to do intermittent fasting? 8 hours food, 16 hours no food? So be it. Go ahead and do it that way.
What do you think about coffee?
Coffee is very acidic. You drink 1 cup of coffee, you have to drink 16 cups of water to neutralize the acidity of that coffee. So think about a scale, of alkaline scale, from 0 to 14. Now 7 in the middle is alkaline, all right? The lower the number, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the lower the number, the more acidic. The higher the number, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, the more alkaline. You're not supposed to be too high on the chart of the alkaline, not too low on the acidic side. You have to be anywhere between 7 and 7.5 alkaline for your body to stay healthy. Once you start getting down into these lower numbers, you start creating a lot of inflammation in the body. Where is coffee on the scale? Like a number 2. What's number 1? Coke or soda. What's number 0? Battery acid.
Yeah.
All right, so 1 cup of coffee, you require 16 cups of water to bring that acidic number 2 to a number 7 in order for you to be able to become more alkaline. If you're drinking 2 to 3 cups of coffee, you better be drinking 30-something cups of water after.
Do you feel like people are addicted to sugar, like Coca-Cola, and what do you have anything to help them for their addiction?
Sugar addiction is one of the biggest things. It's a big factor on why a lot of people are sick and makes us gain weight. It messes with our nervous system. You give sugar to a kid or ourselves, you might as well do a line of, what I'm talking about, perico. It basically lights up your brain the same way, right? People overindulge in this sugar. We do have things to help control sugar cravings, but not in a way where I give you an herb and your sugar craving is going to go away for the sugar craving. The sugar cravings come from parasites, and they come from fungus called Candida fungus. Once you start detoxifying parasites and this Candida fungus out of the gut, your sugar cravings go out the window. I've proven it with a lot of people. It all stems in the gut. What is a parasite? It takes over the host. How do the parasites control us? They give us cravings. The fungus does the same thing. The Candida fungus releases about 14 different toxins of the body, and it causes a bunch of neural issues in the body. The parasite's urine can cause cancer in the body. Most people don't realize this. All right, so I recommend most people detox your gut with the herbal detox. Do the mimosa. We have a mimosa pudica seed that comes all the way from India. That mimosa is really good for paralyzing, killing parasites and its eggs. It binds to the parasite because it becomes very gooey in the gut, and it draws the parasites out of your body. I've seen people remove parasites this long and this thick out of their system, and I've seen people remove tiny parasites out of their body. What happens there? It calms the central nervous system down, their body's not acting not crazy, and it cuts the sugar cravings, and most people start losing weight.
That's crazy, dog. We're gonna end it there. I feel
cool.
like we can go on.
Oh, we can go on forever,
for
bro.
hours and stuff. You know, like let the people know where they can find you, where they can order some stuff, and like what do you provide here in the store for them?
Well, you know, they can find us here in Torrance if they want to come to the store and talk to us. So we're available 5 days a week, Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Social media. Everybody's on social media. Go to Aslan Herbal Remedies, just the way the name of the company, and go check us out on social media. You can also follow me on Indigenous Herbalist. If you wanted to come to the local store, we're located at 21720 South Vermont Avenue in the city of Torrance. Just come to unit 111 and look for the pyramid up on top, man. You can't miss it. It's like a big beaker up there, right? So if you want to find me directly, go to Indigenous Herbalist. You can DM me. I'll be more than happy to answer people's questions. They can also email me at info@aslanherbalremedies.com. We'll type away and give you some answers, and maybe we can come in here and give you a body scan.
Awesome, man. Well, again, thank you so much for
Thank you
inviting
for
me.
the platform, bro. I
Your
really
store.
appreciate it, man. You guys got to follow these guys, man. These guys know what they're doing. Very professional. I appreciate the platform, brother. And if we can do this again, let's do it, man.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Peace, familia.